on screen. Oh, hold on. I got a cable that has fallen. I need to strap back down. So hold on a second. All right, cable is secured. Turning back to seat. And visual 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? This is your boy, Kenyon Ellis, aka The Kid. You are tuned in to another Atlanta DJ Zone Tech Tuesday Live episode, podcast, well, whatever you want to call it. All right, now to go ahead and get started because I got a good amount of stuff to finish up, and there's some stuff that I didn't get around to adding, but I'm gonna see if I can try to add it in as we get to those points or whatever. So, continuation from last week. Continuation from last week was where I went over various cables, and the reason that I did this podcast was because there was a quiz. There was a quiz that came up on my Facebook timeline, and in that quiz, it asked questions about various cables. Now, I took the test. I passed with flying colors, 100. You have 15 seconds each to answer 10 questions about cables with 4 answers as each. Some of them kind of stumped me. I think there were probably 3 that stumped me, and I went back and tried to write down all the possible suggestions. And then what I wanted to do this episode, with this being the second and the last episode, is to basically find out what was the right answer, and what does the wrong answer mean. So if you got it right or wrong, you would know that the wrong answer was wrong because of this, and the right answer was the correct one because of this. So I wrote down most of them, as many as I could, because you only had like 15 seconds before it went to the next question. So we'll probably get to that at the end. There's probably, yeah, there's one thing that I didn't cover, but it's mostly so simple. I think I can just add that in on the fly as we get to that point. And let's see, I think I did write down. I think I did write down all of them, and probably what I would do at the end is pull that survey pull that survey back up and then open it, and then take some snapshots. Take some snapshots of each to where we can go through and examine it a little bit more and thorough. So if you haven't taken it yet, if you have not taken the quiz, let me do this real quick. Let me go ahead and post it, because it'll probably take you about, let's see, 15 seconds, about 2 minutes, a little bit over 2 minutes to finish up. 2.5, 2.25 minutes, or whatever, to finish up. So I'm gonna go ahead and let me get that link. And I posted last week.
I'm so sick of seeing.
Nope, don't want that. So let me go back to the original post that I did and see if I can find it. And then I'm gonna put that in the comments. So those of you that haven't taken the test yet, you can go ahead and take it. And I'm not for sure whether some of the some of the stuff that I will be talking about this episode will be covered, and plus there's a lot more. There's a lot more stuff that I didn't cover, like well, I did cover XLR, but I didn't cover stuff like snakes, and that was somewhere in that question. So the stuff that I mostly covered was not broad but generic as for what you need to know. So if you did watch these two videos and learn something from what I'm sharing, when you get ready to take the quiz, some of the stuff will make sense. It will make sense. So I'm not giving you all the complete answers to the question. I'm giving you a general basics of what you may encounter, but with a little bit of thinking, it'll add to where you would be able to determine which answer that you would need to choose. So let me go ahead and let me find that question real quick. I think I still got it in the zone group. I may have taken it down as the main topic. Yeah, I did. I took it down. So now I have to search. Shouldn't take that long. Let me search for it real quick. There we go. And here it is. I found it just that quick. So let me copy. Well, let me open it in a new tab, and then I'm going to copy it. Oh, just to let you know, the survey or the questions, and it's titled "Test Your Cable Knowledge," is sponsored by HOSA. HOSA is a cable company that has wide variety of cables, audio, video, power, and so forth. The brand is usually in red packaging, and you will mostly find this at Guitar Center. Guitar Center has a lot of HOSA stuff. I don't know about any of the other local music retail places, but if you're looking for HOSA gear, that's where you find it. And so if you score a perfect score of 10, you can get 30% off. You get 30% off cables, and that's on their website at hosatech.com. So let me go ahead and post in the comments. And this right here, this is, didn't mean to click on it. All right, I just posted in the comments. So that is the actual link. Oh, I didn't post it in the comments. I did in the private chat, excuse me. So, all right, here we go. So right here, show. This is the link. This is the link to the question or the survey. Like I say, it's 10 questions and it gives you 15 seconds per question to answer. There's also an image. So the images may help you out a little bit more, but make sure you read through each topic, each question to where it makes sense, because I think there was some that had like some trick words in there that may throw you off. So make sure you go through and read each one carefully and look over all your options. Even if you know that one is the possible option, make sure you go through and look through the others and do a process of elimination so that you don't choose something that may be something else. All right, so at the end, I'm gonna open up this. I'm gonna open up this quiz and take snapshots, and then we're gonna go through and look through it all. But first, I want you to go ahead and get down. Go ahead and answer. And when you finish, post in the comments what did you make, or what was the question. Well, save that part for the end. Just go ahead and post in the comments what was your score, whether you made 100 or whether whether you missed one or whether you missed two. Go ahead and list it, and then at the end, before I get ready to go through and analyze it a little bit more, then let me know what was the ones that you had issues on. Or basically, whenever we get to that question, just say, "Hey, this is the one. This is the one I had problems on." So I can go into a little bit in depth to where it make more sense to you, if that makes sense. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Take this off. Um, I got to get my PowerPoint. Continue from where I left off. All right, let's see if I can add a blank right here. All right, here we go. I have not did PowerPoint in a long time, so it is kind of confusing to me to get it started. All right, so here we go. I need to share this screen. All right, so right now we're going to continue off where I finished from last week. Last week I mostly went through all the audio and video stuff. So this week we're gonna do power and lighting, and then at the end I didn't have chance to add it, but just gonna add in the quick part of it is optical. I mean, there's probably not a whole lot on optical that I need to add, but there is one specific cable that I did want to add that should go into correlation, or two cables, and there may be a third one, but right now I can think of two cables that will go in correlation with the audio and the video. All right, so let's get started. All right, so okay, I didn't click on it. All right, we're going into lighting. Lighting, I'm just only covering this one specific cable because this is the cable that you're probably mostly going to be dealing with a lot anyway, as for signal for lighting. And that's the DMX cable. DMX stands for digital multiplex, which the D for digital, the M for multi, and then the X in the plex to where it's DMX. Now, the 512, and you don't really see that a whole lot, but if you're looking up a specific type of cable, then you want to make sure that you add the 512 on. If you're looking up maybe on Amazon, you can put DMX, but then you can also put in DMX 512 to get your search. And 512 is basically telling you that that's how many channels it will cover, because you can run up to 512 channels off one line. And I get to that at the end of it. So, all right. So DMX stands for digital multiplex. Now, these are commonly used for all your lighting. This has been out for I don't know what was the date that it was created, but it's mostly used for stage lighting. You'll find it in stage lighting, concerts and tours, all the way down to mobile DJs that use this for their lighting setups. And there's several different options or different connections. You have a 5-pin connection, which you can see right here at the top, the female and the male. And these are the older versions. You don't really see the 5-pin as much. If you do see the 5-pin, it's going to be mostly which stage lighting for like shows, tours, concerts, and so forth. What you probably see the most common use is the 3-pin or XLR3, which don't get them confused. The connectors are the same, but the cable is different. Like I said, with this lighting, DMX, you have 5-pin, 3-pin, and then you can also use RJ45, which is used for internet. You can use that as a DMX to where you can have a dongle that's XLR3 to RJ45 to where you can run your DMX channels, or you can run your lighting scheme through a regular Cat5 or Ethernet cable, which is becoming a lot common because it's easier to run, and it's most widely used. So you may have for like permanent installations that most place uses RJ45 with a dongle to attach for XLR DMX. And you also have wireless, which a lot of people are commonly using that as well, where you have XLR that connects into one as the transmitter, and then you have your receiver to where the transmitter sends a signal to all your receivers to where everything is in sync. All right, now one thing that you need to know, and I just learned this a few years ago. I didn't really do a lot of DMX programming and use when I was DJing. I found out a lot about it later when I started working with companies and doing other projects and stuff about DMX. So one thing you need to know about DMX, they both use XLR connectors or the same type of connectors that you would use for your mics, speakers, amplifiers, or your output connection on most of your gear. Output and input connection on most of your gear. Now, the thing that you need to know that's different between the two is that you can't use one for the other. You can't use a XLR for your microphone for a DMX. Now, in reality, in an emergency situation where you have a bad uh, DMX cable, you can, but you may experience issues. It's recommended not to. So make sure that you separate your audio XLR cables that you use for audio from your audio cables that you use from DMX. So you may want to put labels on them or buy specific brands that are used for each purpose because there's an issue. And the thing is the shielding in them. The shielding that's inside the wiring for audio is not strong enough to be used for DMX. Now, like I said, you can use it in an emergency situation and be prepared if you have any issues. But it's best to have different cables for each purpose instead of using one cable for both. And that's something I'm going to try a little bit later. I don't really have DMX cables, but I have DMX devices, and I want to see exactly what's the issue that you may encounter when when you do that. So if I have somebody that says, "Hey, I'm having an issue where my lighting is is one light is blue, but all the rest of them are red," or one light is panning left where it's supposed to pan right or whatever. And then the thing that I say, okay, um, check your programming, make sure the programming is all set the same. And then when that's correct, we can go into cable. We can say, okay, the cable that you have connected from the output of the light before it and that's connected to it, is that a DMX cable or is that a regular XLR cable? If it's an XLR cable, then you may have found your problem. And then at that point, you want to have them to replace it out. Process of elimination, or what I call POET, POET, process of elimination thinking, or troubleshoot, whichever one you want to call it. So, like I say, separate the two. Separate the two because you can have some type of issue to happen in between using one for a purpose that it wasn't intended to be used for. Now, with DMX, like I say in the beginning, you can link up to 512 devices or 512 channels that you can use on one line. Now, if you have a light controller mixer that has multiple outputs that you're doing different types of stuff, or even if you're using a rack mount equipment that's connected to a computer and the computer is changing the thing. Like say if you got up lights, you got 12 to 20 up lights on one strand that is doing a specific purpose or a specific color, brightness, intensity, or whatever. And then you have moving heads. Moving heads are on another set of channels. Each one can connect to a similar piece of equipment to correlate to what it's doing. Now, programming that you may have to do different is that you can't set everything up the exact same because if you got a moving head on the right and a moving head on the left, you don't want them to be in sync to where they're doing the same thing. You want them to be in sync to where when one goes right, the other one goes left, to where you have like a stereo type of sync or whatever, to where everything is moving in unison according to the center of the stage, so forth. So with that, um, they're all linkable. You can chain link them all together, just like you would with if you're familiar with the technology of SCSI. Um, small computer is small computer interface. C S C C. I can't remember, but SCSI is the old computer technology for hard drives, and it is similar because you can chain link them all together, but the thing that they have in common, SCSI and DMX, is that at the end you have to terminate. When you get to the end, you have to apply a terminator, or with some of them, there may be a switch that terminates it to where it says, wait, stop. This is the end of the line. We have no other connections beyond this point. So from this point on, it knows how to set up all the channels. If you have said you can have up to 512 channels, but say if you have 5 devices connected, when you put that termination on, it says, okay, we're only using 5 devices. We're not going any further than 5. That's what the termination does. The termination stops it to where when you start doing your programming, it's telling you how many devices that you have total connected. If you need to connect more devices, you take that termination off and then you start chain linking other stuff. And then when you get to the end of the line there, then you add another termination to determine how many devices that you're using in one band. And so that right there is that is lighting. Lighting with DMX. Now, moving on to the other one. This one is kind of long, but I broke it down to where it's kind of short, and there's only a little bit about each. Not going in too deep with everything. There's 2 types of power or electrical connections that you be using. You have IEC, which is more international, stands for International Electrotechnical Commission, and there are like a numerous amount of connections. But I'm only going through the ones that are most important for you to know, and not all of them. You may experience some others. Do your research on those, but I'm only going through the basics because there's a lot, and there's some that I didn't even go through when I started putting the slides together. And then the other one is NEMA, which is more national. This is for us here in the States, National Electrical Manufacturer Association. These are the abbreviations. So think about this. Whenever you're doing a search for a specific cable, what I'm giving you now is what you want to look up when you're trying to find it. Because a lot of people know what type of cable that they need, but they don't know what it's called or why it's called that. So when you're doing a search, you don't know exactly what to search for when you're looking for it. So this right here is basically going to tell you, I'm going to show you what the cable looks like, the cable and the connector, and then just a little bit of detail about it that you need to know. Not a whole lot, but just the details that you need to know. So let's go ahead and get into that. Take another sip real quick. All right, so the first one, we're going into the IECs. And I probably should have erased that. Okay, I'm leave it here anyway because it'll make more sense for it to be here. So you know, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 different ones that I'm gonna list. The first one is C5 or C6. C5 is the male connectors that you see right here on the left, and C6 is the female that is on the right. Now, this is commonly known as the Mickey Mouse or the Cloverleaf plug because it looks more like a Mickey Mouse or more like a clover, not a 4-leaf clover, but a clover in general, where you have 3 pins: your hot, neutral, and your ground. And these are commonly found on, you find these on like laptop power supplies more than anything. You may find them in other places, but laptop power supplies. And for these, there are no universal or other type of connections that you can use in place of this. You have to have this in order to connect. So if you have a different connector, it won't fit into it. So you got to have a C5 male or C6 female in order to use it. All right, so next one. And these are all IECs. C7 or C8, C7 and C8, which C7 is the male. This is the male one right here, and then C8 is your female. Now, this is one that it is commonly called the figure eight because the way that it has two pins, which is like a figure eight, and or basically a shotgun, which it looks like the looking down the barrel of a two barrel shotgun. With these, you have two pins. So this is non polarized. This is polarized. No, well, they can be non-polar and polarized, which let me explain what that means. If they're polarized, then that means that the blades at the other end, at the part that plugs into the outlet, are the exact same. You can plug one into one, you can flip it, or you can plug it into other. There's no orientation as for how the plug goes into it. Now, if it's well, no, that's non-polarized. Polarized is if the blade is slightly thicker or slightly taller to where you have to plug it in a certain orientation into the outlet in order for it to go. So it's basically at that point a hot and a neutral. Some devices that you have, your the adapter that it connects to, or whatever device that you connect it to, it automatically it will configure what's hot, what's neutral, or whatever once you get it plugged in and power is sent into whatever the unit is, whether it's a TV or boombox or whatever. It determines that the electronics basically determines what the polarity needs to be. And these are commonly found in household electronics, some TVs, your DVDs and Blu-rays will have them. Your players, boom boxes, and radios. This is what people mostly call boombox cord or radio cords or whatever, because you find a lot of these on your radios and as well some laptops. So like with the what was it, the C5, C6, you will also have C7 and C8 that will be used on your laptop power supplies. And these are a common. So make sure that when you need to order a new one, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for a cord like this. All right, let me make my screen a little bit larger. Okay. Let's see what's a way I can put myself in the top. Like I said, they come polar and non-polarized. Now, also to let you know, and I did not see this one. I don't know if exactly if this is considered a C7 or C8. You have some versions where you don't have the little V notch in the middle, in between the two pins. You have one to where it's completely oval. I don't know what they're called, but they also fall in the same class and you use them for the same purpose. Now, you could use a C7 and C8 with the opposite gender to connect, or yeah, you could use a C7 and C8 with the ones that are oval, but you can't use the other ones with the C7 and C8 because it doesn't have that notch in it. Now, what I used to do in some cases where I may have the oval one, but I had a C7 and C8, I would take a blade and cut out the piece of the plastic in between to make it fit. And that will make it work in the situation where you are in a bind and you don't have the right one. So if you have one that's like completely oval, and especially if it's a male, then you can cut it. Well, no, female. If it's the female or the actual cord, you can cut it. You can cut the V in it at the top and bottom to where it will fit um, the male C8. Just to let you know, that's a tip that I'm sharing with you on that. All right, moving on to the next one. All right, C13 and C14. These are also the common one. So C7 and C8 are common for 2-wire applications, but your most common for 3-wire application is a C13 and a C14. C13 being the female, C14 being the male. And these are commonly, they look more house or barn shape, where you have your hot, neutral, and ground. Like I said, they're most common besides the C7 and C8. These are used for mostly everything else. Desktop computer power supplies, and I usually call them computer power supply cables because that's where you mostly find them for computer power supplies or monitor cables in most cases, but usually power supplies is where I see it and where it makes more sense. So you find these desktop computer power supplies, monitors, printers, copiers, and then for audio purposes, you find them just about everywhere. Your mixers, your controllers, amps, your lighting gear, your DSP gear, your powered speakers, your decks, all your rack mount stuff. This is where you would probably have more D's than you would have with your C7 and C8. So I would say stock up on 13 and 13 and 14. 14 can be extensions. You can get extensions, and I have a lot of them. I have a box that are mostly C13 and C14 because mostly everything that I have, um, if it doesn't have a power wart or some type of dedicated power supply that goes with that device, then that's the type of cable that it needs more than C7 or C8. All right, so moving on, we at C15 and C16. C15 being your female, C16 being your male, and 15 is going to be your cord. 16 is going to be your connector, unless you're using an extension cable. If you're using the extension cable, then it will also be on the cable, but your power cord will most likely be 15. And this is called the kettle lead. Don't know why, but they call it the kettle lead. I guess because of its shape. And in this purpose, it works the same way as the C13 and 14, but in this case, it's used with high temperature rating appliances. So this will mostly be found in the kitchen appliances. So like maybe stoves, microwaves, ranges, possibly refrigerators. I have not seen any of these yet, but from my research, that's where they're mostly used in high temperature rating devices. Now, as for if you can use a C15 or 16 with a 13 or 14, maybe possible, because I see that instead of it being house shaped, it has a notch or more of a round shaped notch cut out into it in the lower center. It possibly could fit in place of a 15 in a 14 or 13, but since it's for high temperature rating stuff, um, the wiring is probably going to be a little different. Where your C13 and 14 is rated at most likely 15 amps, possibly 20. This may be rated from 20 to 30. So with it being for a high temperature rating, it also may mean high current because for your kitchen appliances, depending on which appliances that is used for, it's gonna be something that's requiring more current. So you may not want to use a 15 or 16 with a 13 and 14. So make sure that you separate and try not to, if possible. All right. Now, with this one we're going completely left field, but I went ahead and add this one because this one was the last one. Let's eliminate it out the way so then you know exactly what it is and what it's used for. This is the last one. This is C19 and C20. C19 being the female, which is actually the cord. C20 being the actual port or an extension cable, the connection on the extension cable. Now, this is a high current or amp rating use type of cable. And with that being, you mostly find these in a server room. So these will be found on servers and workstations. So you would most likely not find this in the studio or on the stage or whatever, unless they have servers and large racks with data equipment, Ethernet or whatever. So you won't really find you won't really find these out anywhere. But just to let you know, this is what if you see these, this is what they are used for. And I may have a couple round that I've gotten from server installations and applications. So, like I said, these are for server and workstation. So these are ones that you probably don't want to use. All right, now let's go into NEMA. NEMA, what I said, National Electrical Electronic uh, Manufacturing Association or something like that. Now there were about 20 of these. I just went ahead and jumped straight to the main ones, and then even with that, there was a lot of stuff that I could have went over. But like I said, I'm only going over the stuff that you mostly need to know. Um, for this, you would be more like an electrician to know all these different types of cords and connectors and gauges of wire and power ratings and all this stuff. This is more stuff for somebody in the electrical field, which I have experience. So that's why I went ahead and cut down to basically what you need to know with this. All right, this is NEMA 1, two prong, polarized or non-polarized. Now, the one that you see at the top, that is non-polarized, meaning that there's no there's no difference of how you plug it in. The polarity is still the same. Once the power gets inside, then it is converted to polar or positive or negative or whatever on the inside. So the plug is the same. You can plug it in like this. You can flip it and plug it in, and it still connects the same and it's still going to work the same. Now, the one at the bottom, this one at the bottom, this one is a polarized. It only goes in one way, no matter what type of socket that you're using. Some of the older sockets, some of the older plugs um, are polar, or they're non-polar. But a lot of the new stuff are polarized to where you can only plug it in one direction, and your hot and your neutral are going the way that it should. Now, like I said, with the one with the top, with the gray one, it doesn't matter hot and neutral or hot and neutral, and it still works the same. The difference with the bottom one, with the black one, the lead or the blade is a little bit thicker or it's a little bit wider to where you have it on the and the thing is when you plug it into the socket, the wider blade is the left side. The narrower blade is the left side. No, it's the right side. So when you plug it in, you have a wide blade and a narrow blade, and you can't flip it to where um, it will work. It will only go in one direction. Now, with this type of connection, this is an older connection. This is an older connection, but it's still used, and you still have electronics that uses it. There's no ground on it. A lot of the newer stuff, like with the 14, C14, and 15s, and everything except for what was it, C7, C8. C7 and C8 falls in this category. Everything else falls into a different category to where there's a ground added to it. So with this one, it's a lot older and there's no grounding on it. And also that can carry a lot of interference. So make sure that you don't have your audio cables and your power cables nearby to where electromagnetic can get into your audio and it causes a hum or some type of feedback or buzz. All right, now this is the ground. This is where you have a ground. This is NEMA 5. This is newer wiring that is in newer houses now. Older houses may have it to where you don't have that ground. You don't have that ground pin. And the thing is, make sure that if you do have this, that you have your ground pin. I do have some stuff to where this pin, this round barrel has broken off. You want to make sure that you get that replaced because it's very important to have it, especially on those type because it's supposed to be grounded. You have your hot and your neutral, but you also have to have the ground. Like I said, this is different wiring than with everything else. You have 3 wires as opposed to 2 with the NEMA 1 or the C7, C8. So with this, you have the thinner, and this is a polarized, and they mostly are all polarized. They're polarized to where it will only go in one direction. Your neutral is the wide blade, and your hot is the narrow blade. And then the round barrel is your ground. Now, and then also, I'm going to go into a little bit more about a different type of connector. Well, not the connector, but the actual connection with the GFCI, which is ground fault circuit interrupter, which is should be the next slide right here. Now, your ground fault circuit interrupter serves as a breaker, an inline breaker in between your device and your actual breakers in your home or in the building or whatever. In the event that your device is overusing or demanding more current than what is recommended or what the uh, the outlet is rated at, it will clip. It will clip just like a breaker would, or just like a fuse. It will clip, and there's usually a light on it. With this one, you can see the little green light in the top right corner. Some of them have a light somewhere in the middle, or some of them don't even have a light. There's the test button to where it'll pop. The reset button will pop out. And then in some cases, you may need to push the test button and then push the reset in so that it'll work. But if you have one that has a light on it, then that's good because it will tell you if the circuit is back working. Now, like I said, this is polarized. This is your neutral, and then your hot over here on the right compared to the other slide. It was upside the circuit was upside down. The outlet was upside down. And then you got your ground pin. Now, there are some, and this is for devices that are over 15 amps, where you would have this horizontal blade or pin in there, or well, some high current devices that uses 15. Haven't quite went into that a whole lot, but I just wanted to get into basics that in the event if you have something that's not working, and if you plugged it into an outlet like this is where you want to go first. Go here before you go to where the main breakers are, because it's no more than actually unplugging your device, hitting the test, then hit the reset, and then plug it back in, and you're good to go. And you may have a problem where it may clip a lot. If it does, one, you want to make sure that you don't have more than one device plugged into that outlet. The more devices you have plugged into that outlet and it clips, then you want to take something out. Now, where you would normally find these outdoors. Any type of outdoor connection, this is what you want to have. You want to have this so you won't have to keep running in and out for to reset the breaker. And they're also used in the event of weather. Usually when they're outdoors, there's a cover over them to protect from the elements. But in the event that moisture or water, rain, or whatever stuff get into it, the thing is it won't knock out the whole breaker in the house. It will just knock out the circuit here. So basically, it stops the circuit here. So if you have a outlet that hasn't worked in years, you may not never used it, and you go to it and you see the light's not on, then something has tripped it. And it's a good thing that it tripped right there instead of it being a normal circuit and it tripped somewhere inside the house. So make sure that these are what you're going to have it on outside. Plus, you're also going to find them in bathrooms and kitchens, anywhere around water or moisture or whatever. These are where you're going to find them. Good to use, good to have. If you have any issues and if you have something plugged into this, go here first. All right, and I think that was the last one for those type of circuits. The last one that I want to cover on power is PowerCons. PowerCons is made by the same company that makes the Speakon cables, which I mentioned in part one. The company Nutrix also makes Speakon. They look similar But this one is used to handle power, where Speakon is used to handle audio signal. So the amperage and the current is not going to be the same. Now, the rating on a PowerCon is going to be between 20 and 32. The newer ones now can go up to 32. Where you may find these, you may find these um, big amplifiers, large amplifiers, 2,000 or more watts, 5,000, 10,000, or whatever, anything that has like large power. Now, concerts and touring rigs will have these more than your standard mobile DJ because they have large rigs that have large amounts of power to where it may need to be provided for equipment. So they have large power blocks or generators or whatever that will produce the power that's needed for the equipment that it needs to go to. And then also with the power con, just like the speaker con, it inserts and twists to lock. So that way there's less of a risk of the plug being pulled out. Because once you get it in and lock it, it stays in until you twist it and pull it back out. So that prevents a lot of anybody going by tripping over cables or whatever. They're gonna hurt themselves before they pull that plug out. So everything stays connected, power stays on, and so forth. Now, there's two types, which you see in the picture right now. That is the gray type. There's a type A, which is blue. With the type A, power source flows out. So that is a direction that the power flows out. With the type B is called a power drain to where you have power flowing in. I don't understand how that works, but that's just something that you need to know. Make sure that when you're connecting, that you're matching up. Because what it seems like you want the way the cables are made is not bi-directional. You can't reverse the cables around. Power flows in one direction. So you're sending it from the device, which is a blue connector, and then your gray connector on the end is going to go into. So you're going to match gray with gray, blue with blue on the end for your power. And well, that's it on PowerCon. I think that was the last. Yep, that was the last. That was the last. That was the last slide. Now the other ones that I did want to add in that I didn't get to was optical. I didn't get to add optical, so with the optical cable, I wanted to add the fiber, and with the fiber, let's see. Well, no, not the fiber. It was the here's one. I wanted to add the Tosh link. Okay, that didn't work right. Wait a minute. Oh, that ain't where that need to go. All right, let me back up. Go to the end of this one. I wanted to add in the Toslink cable. And I may not spelled it right. Let me go back. Toslink. There's no H. And then another image. Yep, I may add it in on the new slide. All right, so I'm gonna add this in and add some stuff on the fly. Well, the two that I wanted to add in with this is that one, the Toslink, and another one. So this one is all right. So let me go ahead and jump into these two. Current slide. All right, so go back to my screen share. All right, so we're back. This is the last one, optical. There are two types of optical cables. All right, one is the toss, and that H is not supposed to be there. It's TOSLINK and RCA. RCA can be used. Man, you jumping way ahead of me. You jumping ahead of me. What's up, Eric? You jumping way ahead of me. Jumping way ahead of me. Anyway, Toslink, and I always thought that it was H in there, but it's not an H in there. Toslink, or as Eric said, which he spoiled my next slide, Toshiba Link, which is created by Toshiba, and RCA. RCA can be used as an optical. So, I mean, optical meaning that is, or digital, excuse me, more digital, and that's what I should have called this. This should be digital instead of, that should be digital instead of optical. Yeah, that's what it should be. Yeah, let's go. Nope, nope, nope. Don't want to leave. want that. All right, so we're back. Digital is what I mean, not optical. Even though the Toslink is digital and optical, the RCA is just digital. It's digital sent over an analog cable. So it should have been digital instead of optical because they're both not the same. They're both different, used for different purposes. One is much faster and reliable than the other. All right, now the first one, Toslink, as Eric said, and I was about to say in the next slide, is Toshiba Link, which is created by the Toshiba company. This is one of the specific brand things that Toshiba has created. Where I mentioned what cable was that? HDMI. HDMI was created by 5 or 6, I think like 7 different companies. Several different companies went together and branded and created the HDMI cable, the most popular cable that's used for audio and video right now, was branded together by several different companies. Now, with this cable, the Toslink cable created by Toshiba is used for audio. It sends a light signal, and let me see. I don't even have the thing hooked up. I wanted to do an example, but I don't have my board hooked up to where I wanted to do like a. Hold on a second. See if I can grab it real quick because I don't know where that cable is. Is it? No, that's not it. Looking for my cable so I can hook up my. And I think it's hooked up somewhere else. Yeah, it's hooked up in there, so I'm not gonna be able to get it. Want to use my little tablet, but I don't have my mini SUB cable, USB, excuse me, mini USB cable to where I can use it and draw stuff out. But the way that this cable works, it sends light. And the light is usually like a red light. The light is sent from one device through the cable, through like a fiber optic inside of it that travels all the way through, no matter how bends or kinks or whatever. And you really don't want these cables, you don't want them to kink up because it's an optical or it's a fiber cable inside. It's not like regular analog cables where it's copper wiring or whatever. This is like an optical cable. So if you bend it and it snaps and it breaks inside, it's no good because the light needs to be on one continuous path. It's like sending light through a tube. But with this tube, it can have curves and loops in it. As long as it's one solid piece, that light travels in one path. And the thing is that it travels at the speed of light. So the speed of light is faster than the speed of sound. So if you want to have stuff with less latency, the less latency as possible, then you want it sent through a digital signal. You can have it sent digital and it will go faster than anything else. And then it also depends on what's sending it and what's receiving it. Because the way that it's sent, if you're let's say if you somehow you found you want to send your record player, your turntable into your receiver, but you're using a digital path. And this right here is where I would want to do it with the whiteboard. So, oh, got it. Got my cable right here. So hopefully this will allow me to draw everything out to where you'll be able to understand it a little bit better. To draw how the path works. So like I said, if you want the fastest and cleanest signal out of all, this is what you want to go with. All right, so where's my pen? All right, let's see. All right, good. All right, so let me change to my whiteboard. Okay. Hopefully my audio. Let me know if you can. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me check and see if my audio came back with testing. Okay, yep, you still should be able to hear me. So my audio is back, but now my camera went out. And toggling is not working. All right. Great. All right, toggle it now. Let's see if it gets me back on. There we go. All right, there we go. I'm back on. Go back to my whiteboard. And that right there in a nutshell is how A to D converters work. Like I said, you may not want to use it, but it depends on if you have it. You can see what the difference is. If you have the toss link cables, if you have A to D converter, and something an amplifier that has a D to A, which most receivers, um, not all my receivers that I have, but most receivers that I have, they have an optical link on it. So in the cases that I use here at home, I use the optical link from say like a satellite receiver. And here's one. Well, this one doesn't have one, but this is a Xfinity receiver. Some of the other ones, this one only has HDMI. May not be able to see it. And no, yep, okay, right there, right here, the HDMI. But the larger receiver that we have that has a DVR on it, it has that. And with that receiver, instead of using RCA, I use the optical link. I use the optical link and I go straight into a receiver. Even though I use HDMI, I use I also use the optical link to provide a digital sound. And it's no A to D converter. It's no process like that. It's digital to digital because the TV creates it digital. It's all digital inside the TV. The signal that comes from it is digital. It's digital across that toss link cable, that optical cable into the receiver, and is converted out. Now there's a D to A in the receiver that converts it to analog in order for it to play through the speakers. That's probably on the difference right there. So I know I probably spent a little bit too much time. So let's move on because I wanted to do, okay, let's see. Eric has been no sound. So you're saying that you can't hear me? You should be able to hear me. I checked the audio before. Test, test. Yep, you should be able to hear me because my audio is up. Unless you're talking about something that I was saying. Okay, I'm good now. I don't know at what point you said can't hear you. Oh, dang. I know what happened. When I created that, okay, I know what happened. Damn. So you didn't hear nothing that I said when I did the whiteboard because I didn't put an audio, I didn't put an audio source, and I keep forgetting to do that. Let me do that real quick. All right, so I didn't put an audio source. Damn. All that talking and you couldn't hear not a damn thing. All right, so let me do it again. I didn't add a. All right, now you can hear me now, right? You should be able to hear me now. Oh, that's bad handwriting. Okay, okay, so you can hear me now. Because at first you didn't hear me, but I forgot to add the audio, and I do that from time to time. I forget. I get sidetracked with other stuff. I had a problem trying to add the whiteboard, get the whiteboard straight. That I forgot to make sure that I should have added my audio. So real quick, I'm just going to explain what I did. Because you didn't hear nothing. Got audio or analog. This is analog, and you're taking a D to A converter. Wait, back up. Start over. You're going from analog, you're taking a A to D converter. This A to D is going to convert it into digital. And oh man, that was bad. You're converting it to digital via Toslink. And then at your receiver, you have a digital to audio converter that's converting it back to analog. And all this may be inside one unit. This can be inside one unit, but the example that I used with the turntable, it was in a separate unit. And then you got your output to your speakers, which is analog. But this is amplified. This is your amplified signal right here that's going out and playing out into your room or whatever. Now, a lot of people say, why have this um when you can just go from here to here directly? If you want to send it to where the D to A converter here is not processing it, and if you have this converter, if you have this, then you can try it. But there's really not a difference. It's just a matter of preference and the equipment that you have to do it to where you would want to try it like that. But that may be something that everybody may not want to do. But I mean, I have digital to digital. I have everything digital. I have the receiver sent out the signal digital straight to a digital device. I only use that example because a turntable is analog. It's analog, and so you would have to have an external device in order to create it to digital. But anything digital to digital is best recommended. That was just an unorthodox example that I used just for the purpose of just so you can see. When you convert from one thing, you have to convert back. So it's kind of like um trying to think what example can I use to where you're going from small, or trying to think what can you use, you going from small to big, and then you're going back down to small at the other end. You're using the same type of using the same type on each end. You're converting the same way on each end, but you're using a bigger medium to send the path along through that main path. But anyway, enough of that. Let me move on. The last one that I wanted to touch on, and that is using RCA. You could use a RCA, which RCA is more of an analog. You can use it as to send a digital signal. Now, I have equipment nearby. I have my APC MPC that has optical RCA on it. I don't know if it's strapped in to where I can't get it out, but you do have some equipment. You have some equipment that has both. In the case of this, and let me disconnect these cables. And I'm gonna use something different. I'm gonna use overhead because that's probably the best way that you can see it. And this time, Eric, I'm gonna make sure that I have it. Move this stuff out the way. And let's see if I can do a zoom. Can I get a little bit more? All right. I think this one is probably the best one. Just need to make sure that I get it. So right here, these RCA, and it uses a different type. This is what called I call it SPDIF, and it's SPS/PDIF. I can't remember exactly what it means. I can look it up in a second, but this one has RCAs, and they're gold plated, an in and an out. So I can send a digital signal in here. I could send a digital signal from possibly from TV. If I want to sample something that's on TV, I can take a commercial or program or whatever, and if the receiver for the satellite receiver or wherever I'm sending the source from has RCA, I can send it digitally in. That way, I'm not doing the A to D, D to A, any of those type of converters. I'm keeping it all as one specific to where it's coming in at the same format. So I could do it in, and then I could send out to some other equipment. So that kind of helps out. And then on the other end of it is regular RCAs. This is if I want to do analog. This is the analog end where if I want to hook up a turntable, then I could do turntable. Okay. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, what is going on? Oh, dang. I know what's going on. I had the thing on the keyboard. All right, so where's that Zoom? All right, here we go. So right here, I have my optical in, and then I have an optical out. If I want to send to a set of digital speakers, which you can do that, you can send a digital signal out into a set of speakers that has the D to A converters in it that converts it to analog and amplified signal out. Cleaner sound, slightly cleaner sound. So RCA you can also use for digital out as opposed to trying to get the whole thing across. There we go. As opposed to using RCAs for analog. I would suggest if you have the connection, use this. Use your optical, which my DAW has my DAW, which is digital audio workstation. It has optical, so whenever I connect this and I want sound audio to transmit, I'm going to use this. But in order to connect MIDI so everything syncs in time, when I hit play, they both start playing at the same time, they both start recording at the same time. Whatever I needed to do, I'm gonna use these right here. This is for audio. This is what I may want to play out for monitoring. And this is just input. All these are input, RCA inputs. And then over here, I got quarter and XLR inputs for whenever I need it. And then whenever I'm using a computer, I have my USB if I need to connect. This is just the hub right here. So that's not what really not anything I'm worried about using right now. But if I'm connecting something that has an optical source, if you have something that's connecting an optical source, use it. Send it in optical. Send it in through here. If you have something that you can send out and use it, use it. This one does not have a toss link connector on it, so we won't be talking about that with this equipment. And let's make sure that is it on that. Go back to my main. So that is about it. Other than that, let's open up that quiz. And Eric, what did you say? You said last week that that's Sony Philips digital interconnect format. Thank you for that. I didn't have to look it up. Got Eric there doing my research. Appreciate it. Hate that standard. What you mean? It's the SPDIF, SPDIF or whatever. I don't know what everybody calls it for short. Well, if it has latency, you have to adjust. And then remember what I said. Remember what I said in when I was doing the whiteboard. It depends on what the A to D and the D to A converter is in the product as for whether you want to use it. Yeah. I don't know how people say it, spitif or spitif or whatever. I always say spitif, spitif, spitif. Okay. All right. Like I said, it depends on what your equipment has. It depends on what you're sending out. If it has a good A to D converter and what you're sending it to, if it has a good D to A converter. So yeah, that will be the latency. And remember what I said, why can't you just go from A to A? And sometimes A to A can carry signal interference. So if you're doing it through a toss link, that will be perfectly fine. Um, but doing it that way, and all right, here's the thing, Eric. When you're when you're using that type of connection, the Sony Philips interface, something blah blah blah. You want to make sure that you're using the right cable. You can't just use regular RCA cables. You don't want to use regular RCA cables, especially red and white. You don't want to use red and white. If you do, you want to use one that's specifically yellow. Now, I have some cables that are made just just for that type of connection. And just like with XLR and DMX, which I said earlier, and I think you wasn't here, that it's all about the composition of the cable. How many copper windings that it has in it, what gauge is it, and so forth, as for the quality of what it's going to be. So you want to make sure that shit out. Oh man, you are off the chain. Now tell me this: what did you use it for? What did you use it for that it just came out? You just didn't like it. The latency was bad or whatever. And you can go inside and change those settings. I mean, I haven't had any bad results, but compared to using I prefer using it more, and I always prefer using the next highest brand or the next highest connection as opposed to using what may be simple. I would use that as opposed to having everything RCA or quarters or anything like that, because I know that there's stuff in it that processes a little bit faster. Now, if it's something where I may need to go in and change the settings, I may not have time or may not want to spend time to do that, then yeah, I'll go analog to analog. But if it's where I can connect optical to optical and say, hey, I want it all in a digital type of format, or if I connect it and I want it in digital, then that's what I'm gonna stay with. But like I said, it all depends on what you use. You said TV. And see, that's what I use it for. I use it for family room TV upstairs, and I actually have a receiver here. Um, what is that? It's a Logitech 5.1 surround sound. I think it's computer, but I used it for home theater for the family room for a while before I actually put a receiver and some speakers up there. Um, because it had two inputs. I was able to go from the TV, and I was able to go directly from the receiver, and I was able to connect other stuff up to it quickly without having to disconnect stuff. So let me see. Wife likes the audio loud sometimes. Analog to analog. Okay, yeah. And see, that's me. I like I like my stuff loud. And the kids and Stephanie, they'd be like, "Why you got it? Why you got the TV turned up so loud?" And I'm like, this is what I'm used to. And then I don't know whether, you know, hearing problem or whatever, I can't hear certain like voice frequencies and stuff like that. Like certain people, when they're kind of like whisper talking, where they're not talking in a voice like what I'm talking right now. They talking like, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and plan out. When they're talking like that and it's whisper, I'm like, okay, why are they whispering? They not talking. But that's how some certain people talk. So I want it loud. And then also the family room is an open room. Is the family room is open up to the kitchen. So if I'm in the kitchen, if I'm washing dishes or if I'm cooking or whatever, I'm gonna hear the noise that's near me louder than the TV. So I turn the TV so it reaches me. So everything is a little bit over the noise where I am right now. If I'm at the sink and I'm washing dishes, the water is running. I'm moving around in the water and stuff. And the TV, if they're sitting in front of the TV on the couch, then yeah, I see that. But that's why I have it up. I have it up so it can travel and it can be a little bit above the current noise where I'm at right now. If they're over closer to it, then that's a little bit different. Then you need to get up and move because I want to be able to hear it where I am. And with me, when I'm doing stuff in the kitchen, I don't I don't actually watch stuff a whole lot. I'm the type of person I watch with my ears. I will I would be busy doing something, but if I can hear it, I can visualize what's going on. Only when something doesn't make sense, when I can hear it and I can actually visualize what is going on, what action is being taken place, what expressions, maybe facial expressions. I kind of visualize what that character or what that actor is doing without me having to look up and actually focusing on the screen. I'm multitasking, and that's the way that I work. But when they say something and I don't understand it, I go back and rewind back, or I may look up to actually see what's going on from time to time. I'm the only person in the house that can do that. I can stay busy doing something, but then listen to what's going on. Stephanie, the kids, they have to be physically watching and not doing whatever else that needs to be done. It's like they'll stop like a deer in headlights and they're watching and they're not focusing on anything else. Um, so that's what I like to do. Let's see. What I do is pump up the amp volume and turn the TV up. Turn the TV volume off. Yeah, and you have to do that because yeah, there's a latency between the two. The TV, the TV is probably going to play out quicker than the TV is going to play before the amplifier because it takes A to D, D to A. It's going to take a millisecond or so. So there's going to be a little latency to where the TV is going to play over it, and it's going to be like a reverb or a delay, so forth, to where you hear once, especially if you get the volumes equal, it's not going to sound right. But I will have the volume up so where when I mute one, I'm only hearing one. Or yeah, whenever I have both of them to where when I mute one, I'm actually hearing one. Let's see, such as me saying, hey people. Okay, I didn't get what you said. I didn't get why you said that. I may have jumped this a little bit late to see. Are you saying when you say "Hey people" and your lips are moving, but the words, the actual sound is delayed? I didn't get why you said that. All right, maybe I'm watching it now, so when you reply to that, then I'll be able to catch on to it a little bit quicker. So I mean, you have to make sure your settings are right. Now with the TV, there's really no settings. What you want to do is turn off. You can go inside the TV and you can have it to where you turn it off the volume, where the amplifier, where your receiver is controlling the volume. So you turn your receiver up to the volume, the maximum volume that you want it, and you're using your remote to send the signal to the receiver for the volume, but no volume is coming out of the TV. You're muting the sound or you're turning the sound off, but the remote for the TV is actually controlling what the volume is from the receiver without you having to turn up the receiver. That way you don't have to pick up the receiver volume and turn it up and then turn down or turn up the TV. You're only using one remote control for volume. And you can go inside the TV and do that. You go in and you turn it off, or you set the controls to optical or digital. Depends on the type of TV. All right, let's see. When you are only listening. No, when you are only listening and not watching. Is that why you say that? To get people's attention? I think you should catchphrase that because you say that. You say that a lot. Hey people, hey people. I mean, I can hear you saying that all day. That's to me, that's like your catchphrase. I'm like, how did he come up that? Where did he come up with that? The TV or the video? Okay. All right. So that's it. What I want to do now, I am about I'm about to open up that quiz, and I'm already 2 hours, which is fine. This is just extra.
Soundtrack your
This is just extra. I want to open up, and I gotta find it again. Page not there. Should be here. All right. So, and I'm gonna try to do quick screenshots of it to where we can go over it at the end quickly. All right. So, come on. Oh, wrong key. There we go. All right. So let me pull this up. All right. So this is let's see. Yeah, trade market. All right, so we're finna run through this again, and I'm gonna see if I can try to do screenshots. Not really, not really focusing on getting the correct answer. Just getting it to where and I may not be able to do it because it only gives me like 15 seconds. So I'm gonna have to save it really quickly and then copy it. So let me see if I can try to find somewhere to where I can copy it real quick. Uh, Let me open up Word and see if I can save it to there. Now, if I can copy it, real quick and one of those. Okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna see if this works. All right. Where's Windows? Office. Microsoft Office. All right, let's see if I can. I'm gonna try to do it in Word. Do a blank document right here. Let's see if I can pull this off. I'm not gonna really worry about getting the correct answer. Okay, what I do? All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let's see for this. Okay, I didn't get time to answer that one. Let's try this one. Didn't get it. Oh, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. All right. I got it wrong. I answered the wrong one. I went too fast. Yeah, I didn't look at it. I didn't look at it. All right, go to the next one. Uh, Phoenix. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start over because I see now what it's doing. It's allowing me to. It's stopping after I answer the question. So I'm gonna do. I'm gonna save everything after. So I'm gonna answer every question and then I'm gonna take a snapshot of it after I answer it, which gives me a lot more time. All right, let's start over. What are these connectors called? Okay. All right. Now I want to take a snapshot of it. And save it over here. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, got that one. And let's copy it. All right, next question. Okay, got that one. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this whole thing. Just barely. All right, next question. Okay, that one could have been tricky. All right, next question. All right, and they do have some here that are tricky. All right, I'm gonna have to do the whole page on this one. Okay, they didn't copy. Okay, yeah, just copy it out of order. All right, back up. I didn't do the whole page. Okay, didn't do the answer part of it. All right, let's do another. do another one so I got the answer to this one. So I'm doing the bottom half of it too. All right, next question. Okay, good. I can get this whole one. All right. Next question. I don't remember where I am now, how close I am to finishing. Now, I used to get this one, as much as I use these, I used to get these mixed up because they look so much alike. I used to get them so mixed up. And then I had to kind of tell myself, all right, I need to make sure I remember these differ. All right, now if you're commenting, I can't hear you right now, or I can't see you, because my window. Let me change my StreamYard window back so I can see. Okay, so yeah, you got the one with the Phoenix. Well, we can go over it. All right. Next one. I think this may be the last one. All right. And I think we're close, should be close to the last one, if this is not it. Now, this one could have been confusing. Now, I only knew it because I was familiar with hearing it. I didn't know what NEMA was. And like I said, this is something that you may not even think about knowing. But this one could have threw a curve on a lot of people. I don't know where I am right now on how close to finishing. All right. Ooh, I almost got that one wrong. I looked at the last one, and the way I was looking at it, I didn't know whether the I was in there or not, so I almost answered it. I should be close to finishing. Should be close to the last one. If that one wasn't the last one. Oh, yep, that was it. All right, so I guess after you click that, it takes you to the website. Yeah, but how many people usually call them NEMAs? I call them IECs, power cords. I mean, you don't know what terminology to use in order to be able to indicate what you need. See, like right here, you can say wire cables, and it'll come up. Okay, you can't see that. Like this one, that doesn't have any picture. Why? Okay, no picture. No picture for the wire cable. All right, so let's go out of this. Go to a different screen share. Go into the Word version. View. I'll go into view. All right, hold on a second. Trying to get this. Can't get it into the view that I want. And I don't know whether this is the order. Okay, well, let's go with this one. All right, so right here on the first one, you may not be able to see everything. If I need to zoom in, I'll zoom in if needed. It won't let me zoom in either. All right. So on the first one, this one is obviously a XLR connector, which can be DMX. But the question that it asks, what are these connectors? Of course, you see the 3-pin is a 3-pin DMX, male on the left, female on the right, which this one is a microphone cable. All right, let's see. Let me jump to the questions that you're saying. That's, yep, I went over that before you got here. Yep. And this one, they have been establishing the standards for electrical cable for about 100 years. Yep. NEMA and IEC. And I'll show you the slides where you missed out that I did, and I covered exactly what you just said. IEC and NEMA, and then specific ones that I guess that are most important. Not all of them, because there were a whole bunch of them when I did research. I'm like, shit, I'm not gonna go through a whole list. I'm just gonna pick out the ones that are important and then go over that. And I'll touch up on it since you missed it, and once we finish this. So of course, these connectors are XLR, male on the left, female on the right. The option that it gave is a TRS. TRS is, if you remember what I mentioned in the first video with the audio was quarter inch and other patch type cables. You have the 1/8, 1/16, 1/8, and then the quarter inch or 1/4. That's what a TRS is most likely going to be. That now you can do a tip sleeve ring connection. You could add adapter and create this into a TRS, but this is not what this cable is. Now, RDAT, um, and I can't remember what an RDAT. RDAT is an actual cable. So let me pull up. Let me pull my browser up and actually look up a RDAT, because I think a RDAT is a digital cable. A routing head digital audio tape. Okay, so it's a tape. It's not a cable, it's a tape. And I don't actually see a picture or anything of it. I was trying to get a picture of it. Okay, that didn't work. So RDAC can mean a numerous amount of things, but what it's showing me is a RDAT is a digital, is a tape and not an actual. Trying to find it in the audio aspect. Digital audio tape, rotating digital audio tape. So I see a DAT, but I don't see a RDAT. But anyway, let's go ahead and skip that one because That was not the correct answer. The correct answer was XLR, and it says this interconnect cable with the XLR 3M connector on the left and a 3F, which is like I said, male on the left, female on the right, connector on the right, is commonly used by touring musicians. Yeah, it's used by everybody, not exactly just with touring, but it's a standard that's used in audio. It's those little tapes that look like. Yeah, but this says RDAT. That is just a DAT. The rotating DAT, is that like a reversible, like a cassette? You can flip it. I mean, I didn't see a whole lot. It took me. I looked under Wikipedia for it, and I didn't really find. I was trying to find a good picture, but it didn't give me a good picture. All right, so let's move on to the next one. All right, the next question was a connector. Headphone adapter goes from what connection to TRS? And of course, if you're a DJ, if you got this wrong, then you need to. Well, you just started yesterday. Most DJs that have been playing for like years, using mixers that have 1/4-inch headphone jacks, should have one of these. Now, I almost got it confused with the TS, and it is a 1/4. The and this is what it is. The tip is a 1/4 TRS, which it has that ring in it, but that's not the question that it asks. It asks what goes into the other end. And so with it being a TRS means that it's going to be a TRS on the other end, which this type of connector is a 3.5 millimeter or a 1/8, which is the equivalent in standard. But this is in metric. A lot of people don't know what the metric is. You said 3.5, they probably won't know what you're talking about. If you said 1/8, they understand that, or 1/4 inch, they'll probably understand that. So knowing the two can make a difference. Of course, it's not an RCA. I think everybody should know what an RCA look like. And if looking at the previous question, it's definitely not an XLR. So we ruled out the last two easy, but it could have been confusing for the first one. And what it says, most headphones use a 3.5 millimeter, often mistakenly called 1/8 TRS connector. This TRS tip ring sleeve makes the signal stereo. Many audio devices will require a 1/4 TRS input, creating the need for those small adapters. All right, let's see what you said. It's a little tapes. Okay, that was the same question. All right, so moving on to the next one. And just let anybody know, these are all the correct answers. We're just going through talking about the correct answers and then a little bit about the choices that you had that could have confused you. All right, if I remember right correctly, RDAT will allow you to have 8 tracks up to tracks audio on one tape, but you can hook up multiple decks to get up 24 tracks. That was. I'll look it up. I'll look up it more when I finish. I didn't go a whole lot into it because when I looked it up, it didn't give me a whole lot. I'll look up a little bit more. We could talk about a little bit more when I finish this. I don't want to be too long on this video. I'm already shit, I'm already close to 3 hours. So and my frappe is gone. So I kind of have to stay hydrated. So all right, the next one says, what does this cable do? And I wish I was able to zoom in. It won't let me zoom in on it. Nope, don't want to define. All right, so this one says, what does this cable do? Now, this cable has a TS quarter on the end. So with a TS quarter on the end, that's going to be not stereo, that's going to be mono, because you only have tip and sleeve. You don't have the ring to create that right channel. You only have a left channel. So it's taking that TS and it's duplicating it on both. So this one right here is option 2. You're duplicating a mono signal. Now, if it had that ring in there, then it will be number 1. And then the answer that it says, this Y cable 1/4 TS to do 1/4 TSF, which is TS female to be exact, duplicates a mono audio signal. Yeah, I haven't figured out how to cut it down. I thought, since I didn't go through, I don't know, I guess the drawing and stuff. All right, now we to the one where you had the issue. But it's live. If I just did it and went back and edited it, it would be a lot shorter. But it's live, so live is what it is. All right, so what is the green bottom connector called? And a lot of people don't know what this is. The answers to me, it it made it basically a no-brainer. I mean, I have these connectors, but a lot of the stuff we don't have, and we have no idea what it's called. So when we're looking for it, we don't know what to call it. That was a reason that I'm going through this, so you can be familiar with a lot of this, what a lot of this shit's called. Sync is definitely not what it's called, and dubbing is not what it's called. So the possible answer out of this one is Phoenix, and you said that one was the one that threw you off. All right, now the answer says also known as Euroblock. Phoenix connectors are used to connect bare wire to, in this case, an XLR input. So if you were, I guess if you were, if you had a cut, if you had a cut XLR, if you had to cut an XLR, then you can strip your wires down and reconnect it using this. And this would be more like a temporary situation. You can also use these if this is the female Phoenix. If you have a male Phoenix that it can plug into, then you can use it to do it on that. This would probably be used mostly with PA systems. I think I may be familiar with these from when I used to work with Muzak, hooking up intercom mics to where we're using XLRs for the mics, but we're using cables to connect directly to the boards of the amplifiers or whatever. Because a lot of the amplifiers, the 70-volt amplifiers that we used to use, have like Phoenix connectors on. So that one is Phoenix. And really, I didn't go into that one because that was a connector that you may not use a whole lot. Now, this one, the next one, I wasn't able to get it all on the. Let's see what you said. use these at work for video switch. Well, you should have known what this was. But see, you learn something today, man. You learned something. You didn't know what it's called, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't know what this stuff is called. And so when you're trying to look it up, you're like, what's the little green thing that you can put wires on, stuff like that? You're not familiar with it. And like I said, I don't go into everything in the full technical aspect. I go in basically as for what you need to know about it, the name of it, where it's used, why is it used like that, and so forth. So the next question, and I had to I had to split it up because the answer wasn't able to get on the bottom. You may not be able to see it, but it says guitar cables are shielded to reduce noise from what level? Now, this can be confusing, but it says guitar cables, which in this case, this is cables that's used for guitars. Your options was, oh shoot, man, that's kind of small. That is kind of small. Okay, well, I can make this bigger. Yeah, I thought I could. Or can I just move it? I can't even see what the mic level. Okay, now I remember what it is. The first answer is mic level, which uh, in this case, since they give you um they tell you what this cable is used for, because you can use these for mic, a mono mic, which most mics are mono anyway. XLRs are actually mono, but you have shielding on it. There's no stereo in, like, except for instance, this mic is not stereo. Even though it uses an XLR, which the XLR could be a ring tip ground type of connection, it's not used in that case. So a mic could be a possible answer, but you're ruling out mic because um you got the it's called a guitar. The next one, line level. Uh, you don't want to really say that is line because it's a low impedance cable. So line would definitely rule it out, but you would need to know that to understand it. And so in this case, on the instrument level, because you're using it for an instrument, for a guitar, is why that would be the correct answer. And then the last one was speaker level, which that's completely out. But you can use this for all four, but it's shielded to reduce whenever you're using it for guitar to reduce any other frequencies, whether it's power or another audio signal or whatever is reducing those signals um, from going into that line. So that's what it says there, and I can't read this. I don't know what it says at the bottom, and it won't let me drag it out. All right, let me see if I can find a way to. All right, let me open up the actual document. Try to get out of this. Uh, that's not the one I want to zoom in. Let's go down to the next one. Now go to this one. Okay, let's see. I think I can read it now. Mic and instrument levels. Mic and instrument levels are much quieter than line and speaker levels. So guitar cables require much more robust shielding to reduce noise and interference they may pick up before their signal is boosted by a preamp. So that's what it says on the answer about that one. But I guess you would have to kind of, like I said, this is some stuff that you may need to know prior to. All right, now, what is the common name for this type of cable? You got choice. You got choice. A 8-to-8 could be the possible, but the best thing to do is to look through all your options first to see um, what it could be. Excuse me. Snake is the correct answer because that's the short term of what it's called. Rainbow is definitely out. If you look at the color and you think that that's the answer, well, you got that wrong. That's not right. And mixing board is definitely out because it's not hardware. It's an accessory, so it's not a mixing board. So your choice would be between 8-to-8 and Snake. It can be an 8-to-8 because there's 8 on the left and then there's 8 on the right. But Snake best fits the answer, so that's what it's called. And the answer says this is a snake, technically an unbalanced snake. In the case, is commonly used to connect outboard gear to mixing consoles and or patch bay. And I use one of these in Studio 2 where I connect the different DJ setups that I have in there together. And I had two. I think I sold one. I used to have two, but I also have a mixing console in Studio One that I need one in order to connect to. So Snake was the answer for that one. If you answered 8-to-8, you were wrong. All right, now this one should have been a no-brainer. But like I said, I used to get confused on it too, and it took me a while to kind of determine. And sometimes I still may say it incorrectly, but I always try to make sure that I get it right. It says, remember these. What are these called? These are audio video cables, like the first generation of audio video cables that came out that became real common. You can find them anywhere. They're real cheap. And really, you don't really use them anymore. You don't see them really in use anymore. If anything, just the audio, but the audio and video are not common. So the choice of answers first is component. Component is wrong. Component is wrong because component is two steps up from this. The next step up from this is S video, and then you have component. These cables right here produce in 480 resolution, which is basically the tube TV type resolution, and in a 4:3 type picture, to where now everything is a 16.9, 16:9 or better, but mostly 16:9 theater. So Component does a 720, which also it can do 16 to 9 or a 4 to 3. So Component is out because Component is 5 cables. Is red, blue, and green for video, and then you have another red and a white or black for audio. So you have everything separate. You have 3 for video and 2 for audio for a total of 5. This is only 3. What you're seeing both ends of the cable. You're seeing red, white, yellow, which is one side, and then the other end of the cable, red, white, and yellow. It's not one cable, one end of a cable. It's the whole cable. You're seeing one side, and then you're seeing the other side. AVX, I don't know what that is. Not going to jump into it and find out what it is, but it's not AVX. Composite is the correct answer. Red, white, and yellow is what is visually what you're seeing, just like with the last one, 8 to 8 is what you're visually seeing, but it's not called that. So that will get you confused. So component composite, and yellow white will be the choices that will most likely confuse somebody. And probably more composite and yellow white. But a lot of people don't call them yellow white. The correct term for them is composite. All right, composite video cables known for its RCA connectors and yellow plug were developed in 1954 and transfer video signals through a single RCA connector. The video is heavily compressed and prone to interference, making it unable to carry high def quality. So it was not able to carry high def because the signal was so compressed. And that's when they branched out and used they split the signal up by colors to produce a high def quality signal. So composite was the correct answer on that one. All right. So now the next question, DMX cables are used for what application? The first answer was right, DMX. And if it just said this cable is used for what application, that will throw a monkey wrench because it looks like a XLR, which it is an XLR. And like I said earlier, DMX and XLRs should be used differently. You shouldn't use an XLR for a DMX, and you shouldn't use a DMX for an XLR. Have them separate because they can cause issues. But since they said this is a DMX cable, lighting is the correct answer. Mixing console is if it said audio cable or anything else, or mic or whatever, then you could probably say it'd be used with the mixing console. But since it's used as a DMX or DMX 15, and this is probably a DMX 3, then it's lighting. Mixing console is out. Microphone is out because it's DMX. DMX is lighting. Digital audio is also out because it's used for a lighting signal cable. And the answer says DMX cables are data cables rated at 120 ohms. While these cables can transfer analog audio, they are designed to transfer commands most often for lighting. And that's the answer for that. All right, on to the next one. Let's see, got 2 more left or 1 more left after this one. All right, what is the technical name for these plugs? This one could have been hard. it challenged me for a second too. I probably answered it in about the same amount of time that I did here, even though I already knew what the answer was. But just to let you know, NEPA, I have no idea what that is. NEMA, I'm familiar with it, but if you watch the earlier part of this video, I went through what NEMA is. So if you took this quiz before, if you took this quiz before the podcast, then you could have been stumped. You could have been confused on what the answer is. But at this point right now, if you've been watching up to this point, then you know which one of these is the correct answer. So NEMA was the correct answer. EMA, I'm not familiar. I don't know what that is. And C, I don't know what that is, but I mean, I can look it up. All right, this is a NEMA connector, the type used for AC mains electricity in countries that uses National Electrical Manufacturer Association standards, which is mostly here in the States. And you have IEC, that's an international type of connector. All right, and the last one. All right, this one can throw you off too because this is an old style of MIDI cable. I mean, it's still commonly added to a lot of equipment. I have nope, not on this, but yeah, on the MPC, it has this type of connection, so I'm familiar with it. It says, what is this type of cable? The first choice is the correct answer. Is MIDI, is musical instrument digital interface, if I remember right, musical instrument. And I'm sure Eric will probably back me up on that or answer it for me. And let me go back. Where is? Uh-oh. Got to move off the screen. Trying to get back so I can see the questions. All right. Let's see. Dude, Nemo stumped me 3 weeks ago. Yep, that was just last week. Last week, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, Phoenix was the one that stumped me. You're trying to put words in my chat. You're backed up. All right. MIDI, musical. What did I say it was? Musical instrument digital interface. That's what MIDI. Without me looking it up, some of this stuff, the abbreviation, the acronyms, or whatever, you need to know. Some of it you don't. The next one is Mini, which that doesn't fall in place with what that is. Mini can be a lot of different things, but it's not specifically. MDI is um, is or is it MDI? MDI. I'm thinking what it is, video. If I remember right, is video. All right. And I'm looking up stuff now. All right. Mini is not. MDI. I thought MDI is a video. Media delivery index. Oh, that's kind of deep. I don't want to even jump into that. I got formulas and equation. Yeah, MIDI. Of course, MIDI was the correct answer. I'm just looking up what the other options. I'm trying to remember what's that format called. What's the video format called? Nope, not IP. MDI. Is it for yeah, because I looked up video. But there's a video format. There's a video format that's been out. Was it NDI? I think it's NDI. That uses BNC connectors. That's it, NDI. NDI is what's used for network device interface, not MDI. And many, it is too vague. I couldn't find many with any many display port, many CD. Yeah, that wasn't a good option. But that was it. If you got them right, you get 30% off from their website, which depending on what cables that you need, you'll be able to find it. But like I said, all this is just to get you familiarized with a lot of stuff that you may not know. And like I said, I've learned a lot just creating this content for you guys. So I picked up a lot of stuff as well. So it wasn't like um, I created this and I knew everything that I was talking about. No, not voice over IP. It's NDI. It's NDI, Network Digital Interface, that you can use for video, but they use BNC connectors. Like they have NDI cameras and stuff like that. I thought I was like, I know it's not MDI, it's NDI. So NDI was what I was looking for, but there is no MDI. Or from what I researched, I didn't see anything that said MDI. So that's it, guys. 3:15, 3:17 is the time. Wrapping up. Y'all make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you learned anything from this, go ahead, go back, take the quiz, and take it without the answers. Take it based on the knowledge that you learned here, and see if it helps you more. If I come across And I'll probably search for some more quizzes. Search and see if there's any other cable quiz or anything else out there that anybody have. I go ahead and post that up, share that in the zone or on my timeline or whatever. See if it's stuff that y'all can answer as well on the technical side. But anyway, about to wrap up. Make sure to join in on the 26th of this month for the second PLE, and that's Premier Live Event of the Pandemic Games and Entertainment Group with me and my man Eric Prince and whatever other DJs that come along that want to do a stream or send in a pre-recorded mix. So we're gonna have games, and I'm gonna be giving away one prize. Just remind me, I need to send Carlton his Shell. He won a Shell gas discount that I need to get to him. So I need to go ahead and don't cheat people. Don't cheat people. Go ahead and drop that into him so he can use that. And then I got some other stuff coming up. So make sure you tune in on the 26th, Pandemic Games and Entertainment group on Facebook. Look it up. There's two different groups. Go to the one that's in all caps. The one that's not in caps, that was the old group. I need to find a way to disband and get rid of that group because we use the other group now. But we have games. I have prizes. I'm probably going to be looking at trying to get donations and sponsorships for bigger stuff. So y'all make sure that y'all tune in. And like I said, it's on the 26th. Join the group. When you join the group, there's a tab or there is a area that's called rooms across the top. It's going to be right below where the banner and your photos and stuff like that is, right about in that area. You're looking for rooms, click on rooms, and it's going to show the rooms that's available. Quiz Planet is one, Poker Lounge Live is another one. Join in and come on, have some fun with the games. We always have fun whenever that we do it. The bigger the crowd, the funner, the more fun that it is. So you have to come in and get some of that experience because it's something to do um, with family, friends, complete strangers, or whatever. And like I said, now I got stuff that I can give away. So making it a little bit more fun for y'all. Plus, you're getting a little incentive on it. So make sure you come on in. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, whether about this particular topic or the pandemic games. I can send you the information there. This is Kenyon Ellis, aka the Kid. I'll catch y'all next time. I'm out. All right. Peace. See y'all later. Everybody be blessed, safe, mask up or whatever. Get your boosters or whatever. This pandemic is not over. It is not over. They're letting up right now, but it's not over and we still have a long way to go. So everybody be safe, be blessed. I'll talk to y'all later. Eric, I'll holler at you later. I'm out, man. Peace.